Good morning. It's Saturday, July 4th. Just going to show you a few things that I'm doing around the property. Today it's a beautiful sunny day, expected to be about 30 degrees. What I'm working on right now is just the path in the forest. And the first thing I'm doing is with the ATV is I'm getting gravel. I've got about 11 buckets. They're about 70 pounds a piece when they're full. So I'm just filling up a few to take over to the forest. And I'll be working in there today. Okay, I'm all ready to go. I'm loaded up with about 800 pounds of gravel. I've got my supplies, my water, hat, tools, and of course bug spray over there in a little pocket, the cup holder. So let's head into the forest. I have to go in a four-wheel drive, low gear. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm working on the forest right now, trying to clear out some of the dead debris. You can see in there on the ground there's a lot of dead stuff, but I'm slowly cutting down anything that's dead, trimming up the parts of the trees that are, the branches that are dead on the lower side, so I can walk in here, get the ATV in here. This is the path that I'm working on. It's going to be called Broken Rock Road. And it's going to take us over to where the boat is by the water. So I'll just quickly head over there. And I just bought a weed trimmer for the pond, which will help get some of the weeds out there. It is a very healthy pond. It's got a lot of weeds and a lot of aquatic life, frogs, turtles, stuff like that. So in this area here, I've also trimmed up some of the trees. Make some room. This is my favorite spot to sit in here in the shade, listening to the birds, the frog calls. Here's a little boat that we bought. Just a Canadian Tire special. And here's our pond. And our property goes way back there. And again, here's some examples of the dead stuff that we're finding in here that I'm slowly starting to trim out. Working in this area today. I've already trimmed some of the dead stuff off this tree. It makes a world of difference for walking around on the trails, etc. So we'll take it again when I'm working on the path. So here we are on the path I'm working on right now. What we're trying to do is clean it up, get some gravel down in some of the areas. In this area, it's very muddy in the fall and in the spring with all the rains. And I don't know if it was a mud pit or something, but at one point, this area here where I've got some gravel down was just a pure lake of mud. And you can't drive through that with the ATV. Well, you can drive through it with the ATV, but it's going to jostle you around a bit. So I'm trying to fill it in with gravel, let it settle in. So I'm adding a gravel every week or so, trying to build it up. And then eventually I'll put down some landscaping fabric to prevent plants from coming through. And then we'll continue to build it up where it won't be affected by the rain and the mud. So I got this area here where I'm working on as well. I'm going to be working, adding gravel over the next couple of weeks here. And then Dan's going to help me clear out this area. So this is a little bit of overgrown area, and we're going to be working on that. There's also an area here where there's a stream running in the wet period that comes right across the roadway here and then continues down there over to the pond. So what I'm going to do is lay down some gravel as well as wrap it in some landscape fabric and have some piping run through here to allow the water to bypass the road. So this is going to be our project over the next little while, but yeah, it's fun and we're enjoying it. So again, here's our path, and what I'm doing is when I'm taking out the dead stuff, all the logs get laid over there, all the dead trees, and then we might use that for something later on. And then over here is our brush pile. I'm trying to pile it up all in one area, and eventually when we clear the debris that we have on our grass, we'll use this for some firewood or do something with it. But some of these dead trees can be used as supports or cedar rails and stuff like that. So yeah, it should be interesting over the next little while, trying to get through a lot of this dead stuff. Dan's putting on the bug spray. Bugs are pretty wild today. Deer flies and stuff like that are biting. So we're doing a bit of cutting, a bit of path making. Dan's doing some weed whacking to try and make a path further into the forest. The path is there, but it's got deep ruts in it and it's overgrown with greenery. Bug spray in the mouth, or you're breathing it in? Okay, so we'll continue on in a second, show you what we're up to. So here's the path further in the forest. Dan's doing a bit of weed whacking to clear it out. What'd you forget, Dan? Okay. So last year I cleared off some of the dead stuff from the lower branches on some of these trees. And now we're just doing the weed whacking and making our path. Eventually I'll have to bring some gravel in here and fill in the ruts so we can get the ATV back here. But we're still heading in. There's another path that heads off in that direction too. We're not going to do this one right away. We're going to continue on with where we're going here. So Dan's making some progress with the weed whacker. Getting further in. We're after going to clip down some of these bushes here so we can get in, because it's not wide enough as it stands now. And here is where he's going to continue working on. And the water's just to the left. We have another bush type weed whacker that we haven't assembled yet. It's gas powered. And that one has more of a triangle blade on it that can cut through some of the bush as opposed to the grass. But Dan's at least getting the grass now. How's the weed whacking?
Fine, but battery's dead.
Okay, well there's another battery in the ATV.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting down, relaxing, having a water. If you want to grab a water, go ahead. And I'm sitting down having a water. Dan is changing the battery in the weed whacker. It's a hot one out here today. Luckily I'm in the shade, but I'm still hot. It must be over 30 degrees out there right now. But anyways, thought we'd send you this video just so you can get an idea what we're up to since we're not here, or since you're not here. Well, 6 hours outside. We're done for the day. We got a little bit of a path cleared to about the halfway point or third of the way point into the property. And then we're going to do some fill probably next week so we can get the ATV. And every once in a while there's a depression in there and they got to fill that with drainage pipe and gravel so that as we get into the rainy season it will be able to drain. Oh, there's Dan. He's just filling up the cart with some of the debris. But here we are. And this is where our main pond ends to the left. If we get out here, we could probably see where we have the pond. So the broken rock and the boat is just over there. And we have a grassy area. And just over here to the right is where the second pond is, and it's a little higher than the main pond. So it drains down into the main pond once we get enough rain. So I'm just going to pause it for a second, and then we're going to take a look further on. And then that's where the path is eventually going to continue on. So here we are at the second pond. And here comes Dan as well. But this pond is a little deeper than the first one. And if we head a little further over the pond so I don't fall down here. So the pond continues and our property line's just a little further ahead. So if we just take a look over this way, the group of trees that we see here is on our little island. And our property is just in line with that tower, but closer to the water. And we have some massive trees here. So eventually we're going to make the ATV path all the way back to where we were.
It's going to be tough because there's a lot of
A lot of stuff. Remember, people are going to see this video. So our property goes back into the forest. A lot of old trees, a lot of dead trees too, but there's still a lot of active trees that are alive. And we're still walking back. And now we're at almost at the point where the path that we were working on starts. Well, we've got 29 acres, and about probably 14 of that is water and wetlands. And here we are. So that's going to be it for this video, and we'll make another one down the line as we progress.